These are my Beetle Boots. There are many like them, but these are mine. My Beetle Boots are my best friends. They are my life. I must master them as I must master my life. My Beetle Boots without me are useless. Without my Beetle Boots, I am useless. My Beetle Boots are human, even as I, because they are my life. We will become part of each other. We will. Hey folks, it's Matthew Street and welcome to my channel. And I hope you like my Beetle Boots because that's what this video is all about, folks. Beetle Boots. And folks, why am I doing this? Well, don't need this anymore, do I? All right, doing my Beetle Boots creed. Okay, folks. Hi. Beetle Boots. Well, folks, I missed the whole Beetle Boot craze in the 60s. Now, I was around in the 60s. I was a Beatles fan. My parents had bought me the records, and then I started collecting myself. So I was into the Beatles and collecting, as you know, but I was a little too damn young to follow trends in the 60s. You know, I was just a little young. I was under 10 years old during the 60s. You know, Mommy used to dress me and Daddy would wipe my nose. And when I was really young, he would wipe my butt on the toilet and all that stuff, you know. So I wasn't following Beatle trends in the 60s. But I was infatuated with Beetle Boots and the idea of the look of the Beatles. I love their look. I love their hairstyle. I love their clothing. I love their Beetle Boots were my favorites, okay? I just thought they were the coolest things ever, okay? I was a crazy kid. What can I tell you? But when I got into preteen years and now middle school, now I was older and I could seek out trends and I had to have them. I had to have some Beetle Boots come hell or high water, folks. I had to have them. But the problem was, it was the early 70s, the early 70s, 71, 72, when I was in that preteen, coming into middle school era, you know. And unfortunately, that Beetle Boot trend was long gone. All right, the British invasion stuff, Beetle haircuts, collarless suits, Beetle Boots, you know, with the side elastic gusset and the Cuban heels and the pointy winkle pickle, winky pinky, whatever you call them, with the seam right up the middle. That trend was gone, all right? You know how styles were back in the 60s and 70s. A trend was here one day, gone tomorrow. So here we are now in the 70s. Now the shoes that are popular are the roundish toe shoes with a two-tone color, platform shoes as they were known in the 70s. Or remember those earth shoes, you know, with the weird toe and they walked funny when you wore them. There was so many weird trends going on in the 70s, and with clothing, with bell bottoms or flared pants were big, with multicolors or different colored patches on your pants, or plaid or a print or double knit polyester leisure suits, and with bell bottoms and white stitching, and you know, it's gross, it's ugly, it's scary, right? Scary stuff. But I was the fish out of water because here I am in the 70s, preteen, middle school age, and I wanted Beatles styles. That's what I wanted. But God help you, in the mid-70s, where you were going to find straight stovepipe trousers, straight-legged, skinny jeans, you weren't going to find those in the mid-70s, okay? You weren't finding Beetle Boots. You weren't finding barbers that knew how to give you a Beetle haircut, let me tell you, okay? Because I wanted one, and I tried to get them, but it was very difficult. Maybe somebody was watching over me, because if I had been able to get collarless suits and winkle pickle, winky pinky, pointy Beetle Boots with Cuban heels and a Beetle haircut, God knows how I would have been ravished and tortured in school, so among the styles back then. So, but anyway, that fish out of water found a way, though, because in the 70s, coming into late middle school or so, 7th or 8th grade or so. And I'm going to have some pictures up here so you can see what was going on in my life around this time and everything. And my mother found these boots. Now, I don't have an image of my actual boots, but they kind of looked like this. They were like remember the 70s zip-up boots, ankle boots? They had kind of a flat heel. They were kind of square-toed. They really didn't have the seam down the middle like the Beetle Boots. They didn't have the elastic gusset, but they kind of resembled what Beetle Boots the Beetle Boots look like in the 60s. Ankle high, leather, that kind of thing. So she found these 70s zip-up round-toe boots for me with a flat heel. And she got them for me. And I was thrilled by that because it was close. I know, close but no cigar, but it was close to being Beetle Boots. But I wanted the Cuban heels. I said, Mom, the only way to make these a little closer, we can't put a seam down the middle. It just isn't there. There's no way to do it. We can't make that square toe pointy. There's just no way, the law of physics won't allow us to make that toe into a beetle toe, pointed toe. But, Mom, if you can just get me some Cuban heels at the local cobbler and take those flat heels off and put the nice slanted Cuban heels on these boots, then they'll be even closer to being some Beetle Boots. I wanted the cobbler to do it so bad. So my mom said, we're going to get it done for you. God bless my mom. I've talked to you a lot about my dad and the wonderful things he did with music throughout my life. And I don't sometimes mention my mom in some of those stories, but this is a mom story. Because Mom, God bless her, may she rest in peace, she went to the local village cobbler. Okay, I think they were called the Village Cobbler. I think that was the name of it. She took them there and I told her what I wanted, Cuban heels, put on these 70s zip-up boots, and God bless her, she did it. She took it there, and when they came home a couple of weeks later, the cobbler called up, said, Mrs. Street, your son's Cuban-heeled 70s zip-up boots are ready. She got them, and she brought them home. And they looked bizarre. They looked weird, but I didn't care, all right? They were the 70s zip-up ankle leather boots with a square toe, no seam down the middle, no point, but had Cuban heels, baby, on them. They had those high Cuban heels, and I was in love with them. I thought my mother did the greatest thing ever for me. She got me the closest thing I could get in the mid-70s at that time to Beetle Boots because I wanted Beetle Boots so bad. But the problem was the clothing styles then. I didn't have stovepipe drainies to wear with them in a collarless jacket or a velveteen collar black suit. I didn't have that to wear to school. So I had to just wear your usual mid-70s attire with my new boots, with the Cuban heels and the zip. Okay, so picture this, I'm wearing a flowered colored, it was like a pinkish yellowy with flower print on it. That was the mid-70s floral style. And then I had these plaid pants with bell bottoms. And then under the bells on the pants were these faux Beetle Boots, okay? Picture that look, folks, in the mid-70s, okay? What a sight. That's all I'll say about it. What a sight. Folks, it was so funny, but I didn't care. I got picked on a little bit, but I also had some cool friends who liked the Beatles and were, friends with me, and we, commiserated over the Beatles. I remember one friend saying to me at the locker one day in 8th grade, I think it was, "Oh, you got your Beetle Boots." I was like, yeah. I got my Beetle Boots, man. I thought I was the cat's, what? I thought I was the cat's ass, baby. I had my boots. Well, that's a wonderful story. I always remember about Mom doing that for me with the Beetle Boot, or the faux Beetle Boots, getting that cobbler to put those Cuban heels on them, on those silly 70s boots. But anyway, I had them. They're long gone now. Like I said, I showed you an image earlier of what those boots in the 70s looked like. I think you can picture them from if you were around back then. But it wasn't until 1980 when I finally got my first pair of real Beetle Boots from Liverpool. Yes, as you know, from the late mid-79 and right into the early 80s, for several years, 4 years, I was active duty. and then I did some reserves after. But I was in the United States Air Force, and as you know, if you follow my channel, I spent over 2 years overseas in the United Kingdom at a RAF base with American forces and British forces, air forces. And while I was in England for those 2+ years, met a lot of friends, did a lot of traveling, went all over, did the Beatles stuff, whatever you could do back then. I mean, Liverpool and didn't have the touristy vibe that it has now. Is more Liverpool in 1980 was more like it was when the Beatles were still in Liverpool, only 15, 16 years, 17 years earlier. So, it hadn't changed that much. It hadn't gone all commercial yet and everything. And I told a friend that once when he had gone there in recent years, and I said, wow, you're getting to go see all the cool stuff, all the new museums and monuments and statues and all that. He goes, Matt, I'd rather have seen it when you saw it back in the early 80s, because that's the way the Beatles experienced and saw Liverpool, not this tourist trap and all that stuff, which is cool. I want to get back to Liverpool to see it as it is now with all the cool stuff. But he did, bring that to my attention, that it was kind of cool that when I was there, it was still pretty much like it was when the Beatles were around. But there was shoe shops, clothing shops and whatnot, and I was able to buy a lot of cool artifacts when I was in the Air Force over there. And I did find a pair of authentic looking Beetle boots in a shop, in a shoe store in Liverpool while I was there, and I bought them. I forget how many pounds they cost me. They weren't, by today's standards, they weren't that much, but they were nice leather black shoes, had the stitching down the middle to a pointy toe, had the Cuban heels with the leather, the elastic gussets on the side to stretch it right on, pull it right on your foot. And I loved those things for many years. They could still be around somewhere in my house, packed in a box somewhere from the old days. But I did have, in 1980, my first pair of real Beetle boots. Now, in later years, is when I got my current pair. These are the pair I have now. I'll take one off. Oh. There's a company called Beatwear. You probably won't be able to see any label out of here, but Beatwear Incorporated is out of England. I'm not sure if they're out of Liverpool or near Liverpool. You can help me if you know. But a company called Beatwear makes official-looking British boots, Beatwear boots, Mersey boots, whatever you want to call them, Beetle boots. And I got myself a nice official pair. And I love these things. I didn't go with you can get different types of heels on them. Mine's a semi-Cuban, more of a flatter one. They recommend it for taller people, that you might want to go with a little less of an arc on it with a height. Some of them are like 2 inches high, real high Cubans. I went with a little bit of a lower one, but they do have the regular ones. It's called Beatwear Corporation or Beatwear Company out of England, Liverpool area. But it has the elastic gussets on the side to pull them on. You got some tabs here to pull them up. It's got the pointy winkle pickles or whatever they call it. I don't know. There's the stitching down the middle. Nice sole on them. Really well made, high quality. Nice little semi-Cuban heel there. Red interior. Rich Corinthian leather, black leather with a beautiful red interior in my model. Okay, Corinthian leather. Okay, all right, folks. So that's it. I just want to say that it's been a long road coming to this old man, but after many, many years, my original pair in 1980, they're around somewhere, probably wouldn't fit me anyway, but after all these years, that young boy who wanted these so bad, finally, I have my Beetle boots. And folks, that's it. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this little trip through some memory lane, some Beetle memorabilia, whatever you want to call it. I hope you enjoyed some of the images I displayed. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Love you all.